1, 2, 3, 4.
What's going on, everybody? It's Dot Bets. We're checking back in. We got episode 8 of the On the Dot podcast coming at you. It's been a week or so. Sidekick got a little sick. I think he came down with COVID, I believe. He sounds a lot better than what he did. But that's what prolonged the week-long absence. So we apologize. It's okay. Our sidekick is healthy. He's ready to go. And we are going to dive in tonight to the NFC South and our running back tiers. So, sidekick, how are we feeling tonight? You're a little bit, let's see, chugging water. How you feeling?
Doing all right. I think I'm on the back end of this thing. So, hopefully not too much longer.
Yeah. I mean, you texted me, you're like, man, I'm not feeling the greatest, and I was like, oh no, this could be COVID, and then you're like, no, I don't think so, and then all of a sudden, like a day later,
before, and I'm
you didn't,
cautious with everything, and
yep, I lost my scent and my sort of taste and smell with the first COVID that came through, and that was wild. I had like my aftershave, and I was smelling it, and I was like, oh no, this isn't good. I can't smell.
See,
but nothing else though.
Luckily, I've had all that intact, but the cold chills and the fevers and
I couldn't imagine. No way for me. Like my wife never even got it whenever I got it. So it was
crazy.
It's just a crazy, weird phenomenon. It's disease, whatever that's going on. It's pretty wild. All right, but let's go towards the running backs. So fantasy football, we broke down the quarterbacks on episode 7. We're going to dive into our running backs currently. And I'm going to like kind of tier it where, you got your top guys, those first four. Those first four off the bat are Taylor, McCaffrey, Eckler, and Henry. Those are pretty much like the core four, in my opinion, of the guys that are more than likely going to go top 4, top 6 in your draft. Do you have anybody you want to include in that tier 1?
Yeah, so I completely agree with you. That's my top 4 as well. You could also cycle in Dalvin Cook to that mix. I know he's kind of been injury prone, but I'm seeing a lot of reports out there that he should be in the top 4 as well, and Henry should be out. And like when I was researching this, I was mind blown because Henry's been the top back for years now and was the top back last year until he went down. So to have him out of the top 4 is crazy to me.
Yeah, and just the workload. I mean, what you're getting from Taylor and Henry. Henry got hurt last year, so and I've seen how he's been pretty, I would say, efficient in his workload. So that's where this top 4 rating or top 5 rating go. But I am an advocate this year of maybe fading Derrick Henry at these top picks and maybe going with like a Cook or a Mixon, one of those two. Just maybe a little bit more passing ability or pass catching ability between those guys. But that's where, you got Taylor and Henry in this, that what you're going to get workload from them. CMC and Eckler, if I could get them on any one of my teams, I'm 100% targeting them. CMC, as long as he stays healthy, he's going to be the best back in the National Football League. It's not even close because nobody can compare to his receiving. I know Kamara kind of tries, but with that new offense, we don't know how that's going to work. So that's my top tier there, those top 4, and I can see a Mixon or a Calvin or a Dalvin going up to that tier 1, but they're in my tier 2. So
that's why I really like drafting from the middle this year. because you really can't go wrong with any of those guys. So if you have a top pick and you kind of want to see if you can trade down, this is the draft to do it in, especially since, like, personally, I like to be in the middle, because you're going to get a top back, and then you can potentially either get a top 2-tier back, or you can go and get another receiver. So, I mean, it's a pretty deep draft in terms of running backs this year, and it's usually not.
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, obviously, besides those top 4, you still have the ability. You have this tier 2 that I'll name off that can easily be up there in the top 4. Najee, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Swift, Jones, Fournette, and Kamara. And then I'll cusp it, and I want to say Barkley, but I'm leaving Barkley out. But I love Barkley this year. I just kind of trying to be realistic and saying it is the Giants' offense still here. We have not seen them be too efficient on that end. But so that next tier is, Najee, Mixon, Cook, Swift, and then you got Jones, Fournette, and Kamara. Every single one of these guys can catch the football out of the backfield. It's just sometimes they don't get that loaded workload as those top 4 guys. So maybe a week-to-week output from them isn't as efficient as those top 4. But I really, really like this group. Like you said, you could trade down in your drafts, maybe draft from mid to late, and get at least one or if not 2 of these guys in your draft.
So my tier 2 looks a little different. I have Swift, Najee Harris, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, and Alvin Kamara. And Kamara to me is a guy I don't know if I want to touch this year, just because he's potentially going to be suspended. If he falls to round 3, I'm probably snagging him for sure. But I don't know if I want to waste a 1 or 2 round pick on a guy that has question marks like that.
Yeah, and you've seen
you mentioned Fournette. I have him in my tier 3 just because of injuries in past seasons. But he should be the workload horse here. And I mean, that offense is loaded. So you gotta think he can definitely sneak into that tier 2, maybe the back end of the tier 1 here.
Oh, and I had 4 potential keepers on my team. I had Adams, Kelsey, Kamara, and Fournette for this coming year, and I'm currently out on Kamara and Fournette, and I'm keeping Adams and Kelsey. So let me know if that's the wrong decision. If you guys would do something different out there, I would love to know, because I still am back and forth. But you, like you said about Kamara, I really, really think he won't get suspended. I think it's just going to kind of keep getting postponed, and then something will happen maybe in the off season, because you've kind of seen his ADP tick up from that 3rd or 4th round. People are doing underdog for the the best ball drafts, and you've seen him tick up lately. But and then you got Fournette. Obviously, he's going to catch a ton of passes from Brady. One guy that I really, really, really like in this tier for me is DeAndre Swift, and it's crazy because he's a Detroit Lion, and you're like, man, can he do that again? But he had a lot of garbage time last year, passing production or receiving production. I really don't think it's going to come to that again this year. I think they're going to be a little bit more competitive, and you'll see a little bit more on the from the rushing side of him. But you can't deny that he's an elite pass catcher out of the backfield, and he might elevate himself into that tier for next year. But this one, I think, is another step up in the right direction for him. Even though you got Jared Goff as a quarterback, he loves dumping off to his receivers or to his running backs. So
his over 100 catches last year. Yeah,
his ADOT, Goff's ADOT is like one of the lowest in the league, because he can't scramble, so he just gets rid of the ball instantly. So yeah, if you can get DeAndre at the end of this, or early 2nd or mid 3rd, oh man, I really.
This is again where I like drafting from the middle. because you could potentially have like Dalvin Cook and Swift on your team.
Yeah. No, I totally agree there. So moving along to my tier 3, which is you can kind of jump significantly here. I mean, you got Barkley, Zeke, Chubb, and then you got a lot of, I think, wild cards because you got Brees Hall, Connor, Javante, Montgomery, and Etienne. And like that's where you could probably put Barkley, Zeke, and Chubb in that tier 2. But I've just ticked them down because obviously you got Kareem Hunt that's going to still go with Chubb. You got Tony Pollard going with Zeke, and then you have Saquon is just with injuries and on a okay offense. So that's where I have him in this tier 3. But then those guys below him, Javante, James Conner, Brees Hall, Montgomery, Etienne, those guys could potentially be league winners for you. And creep up to be a top 10 running back this year, especially if Javante gets even if he gets a 60-40 split from the 50-50 last year, that's significant. And I'm hoping, I've seen a lot of training camp reports that Javante is going to be that significant back. Then you have James Conner. I don't think he's going to ever get to that touchdown total that he had last year, but he's still there and still going to get a workload. Brees Hall just got a major hit with Becton going down for the year. So I'm probably going to drop him. Montgomery should see a fair share of stuff production-wise. Just don't know how efficient he's going to be. He's not the greatest of a runner. And then Etienne is probably my favorite long shot to home run hitter, I would say, for this particular group. I think everybody in the industry is excited to see him finally, especially because last year he got hurt in the preseason. So I'm really excited to see what Etienne can bring to the table this year.
Yeah, so my tier 3, I have Fournette, Chubb, Connor, Barkley, and Javante Williams. That Barkley pick, I've been back and forth on it. If he's there round 3, round 4, I might take a shot on him because he does have that tier 1 capability.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the team and it's the injury that kind of holds me back. But I don't think it's a bad pick if you can get him late. Now I've been seeing a lot of people reaching on him, and I don't know if I would reach on him just because of the things I just mentioned. But if he's sitting there in those rounds, why not?
Right.
Especially if you only get one running back out of the first couple rounds, then as a number 2, that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
I like Javante Williams. I think there's still value with Melvin Gordon. Production-wise, they were similar. So you could potentially get Melvin Gordon deep in this draft, and he could potentially put up similar numbers to what he did last year. So Javante Williams, I would definitely consider drafting, and you can get good value on him, but also keep an eye on Melvin Gordon. I like Connor. I like Chubb. Either one of those guys are going to be good. They're good every year. So I like them. Etienne is another guy that I'm big on like you are, but I've been reading reports that Robinson's taking the first team snaps.
Yeah.
So, and I'm big on Robinson. I don't know why they try to replace him after having 1,000-yard rookie rushing season. So another guy that it's just that unknown that kind of keeps me hesitant.
Yeah. And so that the tier 4. So Etienne could easily go in this tier 4, but I think he's got significant upside. So I put him in tier 3. But this tier 4, excuse me, probably. So I got Gibson, Dobbins, Akers, Dillon, and Jacobs, and it's just like a bunch of question marks. And you would think I think Dobbins' ADP is going to keep going up because all of his healthy news and everything like that is going to keep going forward. And I think he came out today, he's going to be ready for week 1. So his ADP will keep going up. Akers, man, remember how excited everybody was last year? And then boom, he gets hurt, but he came back He wasn't as efficient as he should have been. So people are down on him, but I still think he could have potential to be a very good running back. However, McVay did come out and say that he has 2 starting running backs on his team.
Yeah, they love Henderson.
I know. That's the
what
problem.
I was going to say is that's a guy that you can get super late. So why waste the pick on Cam Akers here?
Yeah, especially with Akers' injury history. So, I mean, I get it. But if Akers stays healthy, I think McVay will end up making him the 1A for sure. Then you got Dylan. I think you can personally wait on Dylan and get similar production to Aaron Jones. I know Aaron Jones is going to catch the ball a little bit more than Dylan, but Dylan still caught a fair amount of passes last year, and he is going to get a ton of goal line work, as I think they're going to run the ball a little bit more in the red zone. Then you got Josh Jacobs, who everybody's kind of concerned about right now. Don't think you need to worry about him too much. That is just going to be he would not be on my radar for fantasy because it's going to be a committee there. That's what McDaniel does. That's what he does. That's what he always does. So, him, Drake, White. If you got a dynasty league, I would probably swipe up White. But for Jacobs right now, I'm not too high on him. I'd rather go with another guy below him that I have ranked as Elijah Mitchell. So Elijah Mitchell here with the 49ers. They run the ball so damn well. It does not matter. Trey Lance is only going to enhance his production, in my opinion. I don't think Trey Lance is going to take it away from him. So I like Elijah Mitchell here in this group. Obviously, Dobbins can excel. Same with Akers. And then Dylan and Mitchell will be my second tier in this one.
So I have in my tier 4, I have Etienne, I have Zeke, Cam Akers, Breece Hall, David Montgomery, Dylan, Dobbins, Chase Edmonds, which I think holds a lot of value.
Yep.
Just because he got that big contract in Miami and we saw what he did catching the ball out of the backfield last year. So I really like Chase Edmonds, and he's a guy that you can take super late. Miles Sanders is in this tier, but I do not like Miles Sanders. I'm not touching Miles Sanders. I don't want anything to do with him. He's even come out and said that don't draft him for fantasy football. So red flags all around for Miles Sanders. Don't touch him.
The guy who had 0 touchdowns rushing last year at all. So please do not, because I had him on my team last year, and I tried to convince myself every damn week he's going to score a touchdown. So
Edwards-Hilaire's in this mix.
He should be so much better. He should be so much better.
I told you weeks ago.
You did.
This is a guy, again, I'm not touching, but he is in this tier just because of the offense he works with. I think the best value here, you could probably get Zeke late. But again, he's sharing workload with Tony Pollard. David Montgomery's the solo back. Breece Hall, I have a few question marks. You mentioned them losing one of their best offensive linemen today, but also you got Michael Carter, who's still there, who's very productive out of the backfield. So I can definitely see them splitting a little bit of time. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out dynasty-wise. I have the number 1 pick in my dynasty draft this year because I don't have a quarterback. I just traded for a quarterback, so we should be smooth sailing from here on out. But I do have that 1 pick, so I think I am going to take Breece Hall. But yeah, some guys I do like. I do not like Antonio Gibson, who I have in the next tier. But I do like Elijah Mitchell, and I do like Stevenson. So Stevenson reports say that, again, first team snaps, and he should be taking over this backfield. So I think he's a sneaky pick. So I like him there.
No, I'm good with Stevenson there. I would say let's transition to the NFC South, but let's give a 1 sleeper pick that we haven't mentioned yet that could potentially break out this year. Who do you think?
Are we asking for like sleeper pick in terms of like a guy that you can get super late, or a guy that can be one of the top backs.
You could go either way. Either way.
So if I'm looking for a sleeper, I kind of like. You might not like this pick, but
You're gonna like mine.
I kind of like Damian Pierce.
Oh, okay. All right.
Just because that backfield's kind of open. I think I have him in my tier 5, so I think he's another guy that could get a lot of
Yep.
snaps, a lot of reps. He has the capability to be a 3-down back, so I think he's a guy that you could take late that could end up being really productive for you.
I agree. I have 3, so I'm just gonna. I should just say 1, but I'm gonna say all 3. James Cook is my first one.
Okay.
My second one is, you're gonna like this one, Nyheim Hines,
Oh yeah.
and then third is going to be Jerick McKinnon.
Although Hines isn't really a sleeper pick.
Yeah, he's going late. He's going way late.
God.
He's going way late. So I really, really like those 3. I think if anything were to happen to that lead back, Singletary, Taylor, or CEH, which could happen, not saying it, not hoping for it, but I definitely think this could happen.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So we
hold
are
on.
back. We had some technical difficulties ending that sleeper aspect of the running back portion. But we're going to go ahead and get going with the NFC South best bets breakdown. So we'll just go team by team. So let's go to probably the lowest rated team in the division, the Atlanta Falcons. How are we feeling about them and their outlook this year? Looks like it's Marcus Mariota at the helm. They have Ritter as well, maybe playing some throughout the year. They do have Kyle Pitts, one of the best up-and-coming tight ends. Cordell Patterson came through. Just nothing that excites me too much in this team. What about you?
I'm right there with you. I think it'll be exciting to see Mariota get another shot. I do like Patterson. Patterson had a pretty good year last year, and they have that Drake London kid who's supposed to be pretty good, and of course Kyle Pitts. So there is some skill guys on this team that you can get excited for, but they play in a pretty competitive division, and I don't see them unfortunately doing much in this division. So
Right. Their win totals are at over 5 currently, plus 125 for over 5. Nothing that sticks out to me to go ahead and place a bet here. If you do, the under is minus 150. So a lot of people are kind of in the same boat as us, where you kind of expect this team to get, beat throughout the year pretty handily. Maybe a team to target early on in the season as they try to figure it out, with a new quarterback and new system and everything like that. So moving on to the Panthers. So we got Baker Mayfield in town competing with Sam Darnold for the quarterback position. I'm thinking Baker will end up the starter on week 1. But this is a team that just excites me DFS wise, fantasy wise. This team has a lot of potential, I believe. I know their defense was pretty good early on last season and kind of faded, which we took well advantage of on my end. You look at some metrics and you're like, man, this team's overperforming early on in the season. Sam Darnold's rushing for touchdowns. He's like the league leading rusher, rushing touchdowns for the first 3 weeks of the season, which is insane. But then they came down back to earth. So that was a team that you kind of just you piggyback on and you pick on a little bit. But to forecast this year, if Baker's the starting quarterback, I'm going to give him a pass for last year with him being injured. I'm thinking it's going to take a little bit of time for him to get situated here, but you have the best safety net in the league with CMC. You're not going to have to do too much. Then you have 2 legit wide receivers with DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. So I really don't know how what else he needs to be successful. I really, really like the skill guys here in Carolina.
I'm right there with you. I think this is a team that can potentially take the 2 seed in this division. I think that 2 seed's kind of up for grabs. And they came out hot last year. They have the pieces to do something special. So again, it kind of falls on the quarterback. Sam Darnold kind of tinkered off. Let's see if Baker Mayfield can get things going and steer this team in the right direction. All the skill guys you said, I like. I mean, Anderson and DJ Moore, CMC. How can you not be excited about that? So
no, and I agree. And this team will surprise people, I believe. And I think for DFS wise, it's going to be a great target games where maybe they're a little bit more high scoring. But yeah, I'll give out one player prop that I really, really like on this team. It's going to be DJ Moore over 85.5 receptions. So if you look at projections, I feel like DJ Moore just has not ever got to the superstar role in fantasy. He's gone over 1,100 yards in all 3 of his seasons so far. Yet he's only had 4 touchdowns, but he just hasn't had those not great quarterbacks, but he's just been okay. And Baker's not a great quarterback by any means, but I feel like those two can establish a very, very good connection, especially on those slant routes, comeback routes, everything like that. I really, really like DJ Moore. And I know he's a downfield option for him as well, but I really think that they can establish a good connection here. Over 85.5 receiving yards. I have him projected right at close to 90. So really, really like that.
Another good prop you could potentially consider taking is Christian McCaffrey over 1,595.5 rushing and receiving yards.
Whew, that's a lot.
It is. And granted, the last 2 years, he didn't hit it because of injuries, but the 2 previous years, he went over big time. He went over by like 300-400 yards. So if we get that production from him, if he stays healthy and if Baker utilizes him the way he's capable of, it's not a bad bet.
No, So yeah, I'm very, very excited about this offense. This defense will, I think, surprise a little bit of people, but end up being more shootout wise than anything. So moving on to the New Orleans Saints, and I think this is a team that a lot of people doubted before the year, and I think they're going to turn some heads. I think they're going to do a little bit better than people think. Again, they're skill players. They reloaded. They got the Olave from or in the draft, and then you have Thomas coming back. We just discussed about him. Really, really like Thomas, and then you have Alvin Kamara, and you brought in Jarvis Landry. So you got a lot of skill.
The Honey Badger on defense,
and on defense too. So, but then they have Jameis Winston coming back, who knows the offense, but knows the schemes and everything like that. I think they can surprise a good amount of people this year and put up a lot of points. Maybe these are a little bit more of shootouts, maybe in this division, kind of like the AFC West. These are sneaky shootout potentials. Obviously, with Tampa, you're gonna have to put up some points.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I really like this receiving core, but it's an interesting receiving core because Jarvis Landry hasn't really done much in recent years. Michael Thomas has been hurt, so he has some question yards. We were talking about his receiving props because they're kind of low. So, I mean, personally, I like the over on his receiving props, but I also have the image of old Michael Thomas in my head. So,
yeah, that was a special connection there with Breeze, and you just don't know what you're going to get out of Jameis. He might want to chuck the ball deep. Him and Landry and him and Olave do a lot. Maybe establish a little more connection, but you can't deny the overall skill set of Michael Thomas. So I'm optimistic like you. I'm just not going to take any of his props though, and just sit back and kind of watch. Maybe week to week, as we kind of see how this offense plays out, we could maybe go that route.
I'm with you on that. And again, we got to take in consideration that Kamara may or may not get suspended. So if he goes down, who knows how this team's going to function. You have Mark Ingram in the backfield to kind of carry the weight a little bit, but
yeah, I think Alvin. I don't think he ends up getting suspended. I think it's a little bit more drawn out throughout the season, maybe into next year. But man, him out of the backfield is special, and he can make plays that game changing plays. So do not count this Saints team out. I'm not saying that they're going to win the division by any means. However, they do play the Bucs pretty well. But this is definitely, we'll transition to the Bucs right now. This is the Bucs division. It's like minus 250 to win the division, and their over under win total is 11.5. I mean, when you got Brady at the helm, you just reloaded with Julio Jones. You get Godwin back. You have Evans, and then one of the guys that we talked about early on in early episodes is Russell Gage. Then you have Fournette in the backfield. I mean, you just got a lot of moving pieces, plus a stout defense. And Todd Bowles is a defensive-minded coach. I would not put it past this team to win 13-plus games.
Yeah, they're loaded from top to bottom. I'm right there with you. I don't think that they're going to have too much of an issue winning this division. Receiver-wise, they replaced Antonio Brown with Julio Jones, and they brought in Russell Gage, who I'm pretty big on. I think Russell Gage will have a really, really good year. And it'll be exciting to see how Leonard Fournette does in this system for a full year with lead back duties. So
yeah. You already saw what he could do last year. I would say 3/4 of the season. But Rojo is still there, but he's going to be the guy. Let's see how long how he can last. We talked about him earlier in the running back breakdown, him and Kamara, those two in this division with CMC, lethal running backs potential on the fantasy end here. But I do have one last prop I want to give out, and that is Tom Brady's over passing yards. That's over 4,650 and a half. And if you just look at his stats, his first year in Tampa was 4,633 yards. And last year he threw for 5,316, just an insane amount. And I don't see this team leaning in the run game whatsoever with Fournette. He's going to have good rushing production, but this is still Tom Brady, and he's still going to throw to all four of his targets. He still has Cameron Brate he can throw to as well, big tight end target. He loses Gronk in the offseason to retirement. However, I still think with the Julio signing, Godwin and Mikey Evans, and Gage, those four, too damn talented to not get him past that 5,000 mark again. 4,700, I think, is very, very doable. And that's plus 100. So, as long as he stays healthy, I think this is a no-brainer.
Absolutely. And that brings me to my favorite prop of the night, which is Mike Evans over 10.5 touchdown catches. Ooh. So I know it's kind of a high number, but this guy can definitely do it. In the 2 years that Brady's been there, he had 13 and 14 touchdowns last year. So definitely a big target in the red zone. And I think he hits this number again. One number I was looking at, I'm not going to take it, but I'm going to just put it out there. Tom Brady's interceptions is 10.5. Now, we said that he's been throwing the ball quite a bit in Tampa, and he hit 12 both times. I think it's 11.5. I'm sorry, not 10.5. But he hit 12 both times in Tampa. So he might go over it again. I know I don't want to bet against Tom Brady, but with the amount of passing he's throwing or balls that he's throwing, I think that number can definitely hit again.
Yeah, he threw 719 attempts last year. That's just insane for a 44-year-old, 45, or whatever, how old he is. It doesn't act like it. So very, very exciting division here with the NFC South. If you guys do have any other questions, hit us up on Twitter at .bets and then at Sidekick Picks. And as always, go check out props.cash. We didn't mention them early on, but we did not forget them. Promo code on the dot, 25% off your first purchase. We are getting ready for the beginning of the season. We have less than a month away, or right at a month for the first Thursday game. And then Thursday, so I'll do my schedule. I don't know if Sidekick can be there, but I'll do a Thursday live show before the Thursday night game, and then Monday Night Football, do this exact same around like 6 Central Time, and then we have our big Sunday live show early on around 10 a.m. Central Time. And that's powered by props.cash. So we are going to be amping up the content, and then we'll also have 2 podcasts a week as we kind of recap and look forward to the following weeks and everything like that with best bets as well. So we appreciate you guys tuning in, and with that, we will get on out of here.
See ya.
See you guys.